Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Raja Parvez Ashraf, is here. May I request you all to kindly rise for the national anthem of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Honorable Speaker, with your permission, I start the proceedings of the concluding ceremony of the third regional seminar for the Asia-Pacific region, Parliaments on Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. We begin with the recitation from Holy Quran by Qari Sadaqat Hussain.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء صدق الله العظيم. God, most gracious, it is He who has taught the Quran. He has created man. He has taught him speech and intelligence. The sun and the moon follow courses exactly commuted, and the herbs and the trees both alike bow in adoration. And the firmament has He raised high, and He has set up the balance of justice, in order that you may not transgress due balance. So establish weight with justice and fall not short in the balance. It is He who has spread out the earth of His creators, therein in fruit and date palms, producing spathes enclosing dates. Also corn with its leaves and stalk for fodder, and sweet-smelling plants. Then which of the favor of your Lord will you deny? Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Qari Sahib. Honorable Speaker, Raja Pervez Ashraf, and the chair of this concluding session, Honorable Syed Yusuf Gilani, former Prime Minister and leader of his party in the Senate of Pakistan, Senator Salim Mandviwala, Chairman of the Senate Standing Committee on Finance, Honorable Shaza Fatma Khaja, Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Youth Affairs, and Madam Rumina Khurshid Alam, who is the convener of the SDGs in the National Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the conclusion of 2 days of very exciting activity. Substantive discourses and discussions took place in this hall as well as in the 2 committee rooms. In total, there were 7 sessions where deliberations were held on all the aspects of SDGs, the 17 goals, and which were contributed by delegates from 20 countries, either physically or through or by their presence virtually. It goes without saying that our focus remained the environmental chaos that has been brought to planet Earth during the recent times, and especially the havoc created by the floods. In those discussions, there was an important session on women as well, where important intervention was made by the Federal Ombudsperson on harassment, Madam Kashmala Tariq. She wishes to present the compilation of all the progress of her department to the Honorable Speaker. May I request Madam Kashmala Tariq to come and present her compilation. The Honorable Deputy Speaker also joins us, the Honorable Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. May I request Senator Salim Mandviwala, Chairman of the Senate Standing Committee on Finance, for his closing remarks, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Raja Pervez Ashraf, Speaker, National Assembly of Pakistan. Honorable Senator Yusuf Raza Gilani, former Prime Minister of Pakistan and former Speaker of the National Assembly. Honorable Rumina Khurshid Alam, Special Assistant to PM and Convener, National Parliamentary Task Force on SDGs. Honorable Shaza Fatma Khaja, Special Assistant to PM and Youth Affairs. Honorable delegates from Asia Pacific region, ambassadors, members of the National Assembly, provincial assemblies, legislative assemblies of Pakistan, and especially to media of Pakistan who's here covering this event. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to congratulate the National Assembly of Pakistan and Inter-Parliamentary Union for the successful organization of this Asia-Pacific region seminar on SDGs. I hope that our guests who have joined from all over the world, and especially the Asia-Pacific region, had a pleasant stay in Islamabad, in our beautiful capital. As everybody mentioned, and especially Mr. Mushahid, who was moderating the session today, that the clean environment and climate change is the major issue. And today, as you see, Pakistan is facing floods, and we keep hearing floods in Bangladesh, all over the world, especially in the developing nations. We feel that all this is happening because of the past developments that took place in the climate change. And sorry to say, they were all negative developments in the climate change, which is affecting the world today. And we are all suffering because of that. And this damage, you can see what has taken place in Pakistan, which was mentioned by others who were talking about climate change in this event today. And the figure has reached about $30 billion. Now this damage could not have been done even in a war if it took place. That has been done through climate change. So I feel the agenda in this event that took place of IPU and future events that will take place, we must raise this issue more seriously, not only on government level, but on parliament level, because we are the people eventually who do decide what kind of legislation needs to be done and what kind of protection we can give to our people. So I feel this issue of climate change should remain on top of the agenda of IPU and all other forums, parliamentary forums that are there to address climate change and to save humanity from climate change. Lastly, I wish the members of parliaments and delegates from all Asia-Pacific region and parliaments a huge success with regard to their critical role in promoting SDGs in their parliamentary business and ensuring smooth implementation of SDG while leaving one behind. So I wish you all the success, and I hope we learn something from all what we have done in this IPU session, and we can further implement all the things that we have decided in this IPU event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We have Shaza Fatma Khaja. Shaza, when she was elected in 2013, she was the youngest member. She was 25 at that time. And by her looks, she only looked 12. The looks are still the same. But at the moment, she is the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Youth Affairs. May I request you, Madam, for your remarks?
Thank you very much, Shamoon Hashmi Saab, for that introduction. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Yusuf Raza Gilani Saab, ex-Prime Minister, Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Honorable Speaker, National Assembly of Pakistan. Honorable Salim Manviwala Saab, Senator and Chairperson of the Finance Committee in Senate. And Honorable Madam Rumina Khurshid Alam, Convener for the SDG Secretariat in Pakistan. My esteemed guests from across the Asia-Pacific regions, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a good afternoon. I would like to start with the very basics of what the Sustainable Development Goals mean. Sustainability at its very core, essentially, means that our younger generations and our upcoming generations are able to enjoy and reap the joys of Mother Earth that at least as well as our older generations did, if not better. And therefore, when we talk about sustainable development, while we do understand that some of our countries, our fellow countries, are facing an issue of declining population, most of our region is at this point in time faced with a youth bulge. Asia-Pacific region hosts about 55% of the total global youth that is there. Pakistan alone has 150 million people under the age of 30. We have 100 million people under the age of 15. So the youth is no longer the future of this world. The youth is actually the present. The youth is here. And there is no dialogue, there is no intervention possible or can be made successful without inclusion of young people in every single dialogue that happens, whether it is in the public sphere, in the private sphere, in our international conferences. It is absolutely imperative to add and hear the voice of young people who will eventually be facing the consequences if we're unable to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Whether it's malnutrition, food security, whether it's access to health, whether these micro-level issues, right to shelter life, to transnational issues like climate change, every single aspect is directly related to the inclusion of young people in our dialogues. Similarly, while we talk about young people, almost half of the population of the world is women. It is absolutely, again, imperative to ensure that the voice of the women, the voice of all marginalized communities is heard when we talk about attaining Sustainable Development Goals. Gender parity, gender equity is something that we all are trying to achieve, but are quite far from it as an international community overall. And while it is one of the Sustainable Development Goals, I believe that without the inclusion of women, the overall achievement of SDGs will be impossible in case we fail to include women in our dialogue. When we talk about Sustainable Development Goals, when we talk about the future, we realize that the global landscape, whether it's employment, whether it's education, is changing by the hour. The technological advancement, the changes in technology that are taking place, it's actually becoming hard to keep up with the kind of employment opportunities that are available right now and to match them with the kind of education that is being imparted across the globe. And this is not just a Pakistan-specific problem, this is an international issue that we need to address. If we want to achieve our Sustainable Development Goals, we have to be ready for it. And we have to be ready for it by ensuring that our younger population and each and every member of the society, including people with special abilities, including religious minorities, including ethnic minorities, everyone has to be included when it comes to access to education and access to education which has a future. The jobs of the future are very different and will be very different from the jobs of the present. But the question is that, are we ready for when that time comes? Are we ready for the change of pace that is happening in the global scenario when we look at the larger picture? In this regard, I would like to quickly conclude by saying that Asia-Pacific is one of the lowest contributors to carbon emission across the globe. Yet our countries are some of the most vulnerable. So I believe that it is the need of the hour that we come together, that we put our energies together in answering and addressing all of these issues, starting from education, malnutrition, gender issues, food security, access to health. We come together, we unite, and we formulate a single stance when we talk to the rest of the world. The rest of the world, which is a larger contributor to the issue of climate change, and we ensure that our right to the climate financing, to the carbon emission financing, is actually duly upheld. And until and unless we join and we unite together and put our voice together to ask and demand for our rights, it will be very difficult to attain them. In the end, I would just like to congratulate Honorable Speaker Raja Parvez Ashraf Saab on the successful completion of this very fruitful dialogue and two-day seminar. I'd also like to appreciate Madam Rumina Khurshid Alam, who's the convener of Pakistan's Sustainable Development Goal Secretariat at the National Assembly of Pakistan, her team, the team of the National Assembly of Pakistan itself, our staff, for conducting this event flawlessly. We understand and we realize the months of efforts, tireless efforts that go behind preparing and then conducting such platforms. Lastly, I would like to thank our honorable guests from across Asia Pacific, members of the parliament, our fellow colleagues, for coming to Pakistan, for honoring us with your presence, and I hope that you had a good stay. I hope that you got to see Islamabad, the beautiful city that it is, and you were not just confined to the hall rooms. And we hope that we'll be able to, and we would like to welcome you all again soon in Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for your address. Ladies and gentlemen, Shaza Fatma Khaja represents the face of that youthful parliament that we are experiencing in the present times. At the moment, 105 members of the parliament are in the young parliamentarians record, either less than 40 or touching the age of 40. And a remarkable example in this context is our illustrious young, youthful Deputy Speaker, the Zahid Akrab Durrani, who is also in that record. As Madam Shaza very clearly indicated, that this seminar has been a collective effort to draw the attention of our colleagues and the fraternity of parliamentarians from Asia Pacific on the burning issue of environmental degradation. And I can see very noted names from the civil society. Ahmed Bilal Saab is sitting here from Bildat, and so many others who would note this effort of the National Assembly that has gone. May I now request the head of the Iranian delegation, Dr. Malik Fazali, to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of all the foreign delegates. As I informed you earlier, we had a presence of 10 physical delegations, 5 who joined us virtually, and 5 were at the mission level. So in total, 20 delegations participated. May I request you, sir, head of the Iranian delegation, for your remarks.
There. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. On behalf of all delegation participating in this regional seminar, I would like to thank the Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan for inviting us and making excellent arrangement for the seminar. I would also like to condole with the government of Pakistan and people of Pakistan and Parliament of Pakistan for on the loss of precious life and infrastructure due to recent disastrous floods. On behalf of my country and the entire Asian and Pacific region, I would like to convey our prayer and best wishes to the affected people. Thank you, everybody, and God bless all nations of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency Dr. Fazali. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very special occasion today in this closing ceremony because the podium is adorned by not one, but two former Prime Ministers of Pakistan. And as they both shared the podium, they also shared the term from 2008 to 2013 as first Syed Yusuf Gilani was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and he was followed by our current Speaker, Raja Parvez Ashraf. May I request Honorable Syed Yusuf Gilani for this few remarks, sir?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Speaker, Raja Parvez Ashraf Saab, honorable delegates, I want to congratulate the organizers and the people of Pakistan and the Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan for organizing such a beautiful seminar. And I've heard the speeches and their comments. I'm really impressed, and we benefit from your experience. And I, as a parliamentarian, always feel that people-to-people contacts are extremely important. And therefore, this forum is the right forum from where we can learn from your experience, and surely we can share your experience, and we can always improve through your comments. I once again thank the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan for organizing such a beautiful event with the IPU. I had been the member of the IPU. I had been the member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Associations. Therefore, these forums do play a very important role. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an old Chinese saying, women hold half of the sky. When it comes to holding of the seminar, Rumina Khurshid Alam held the entire sky. May I request you, Madam, for presenting the outcome document of this seminar?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Raja Parvez Ashraf, Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan. Honorable Senator Yusuf Raza Gilani, former Prime Minister of Pakistan and former Speaker of National Assembly of Pakistan. Honorable Senator Salim Mandviwala. My fellow colleague, Madam Shaza Fatma Khwaja, Special Assistant to the Prime Minister Youth Affairs. Honorable parliamentarians and delegates from Asia-Pacific region. Members of the National Assembly, Senate, all provisional and legislative assemblies of Pakistan, distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It was an honor for Pakistan to host third Regional Parliamentary Seminar on Sustainable Development Goals under the able guidance of Honorable Speaker, Mr. Raja Parvez Ashraf. We envision a diverse and developed Asia-Pacific region. At the onset, let me congratulate the Inter-Parliamentary Union and the National Assembly for hosting the conference. I would like to thank national and international members of Parliament from Iran, Maldives, Nepal, Republic of Korea, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, China, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Canada, Mongolia, Thailand, Malaysia, and all those have joined us virtually as well in Azerbaijan and Turkey on special invites for their presence and inputs in finalizing joint future strategy on achieving SDGs with focus on climate mitigation. As a result of your extensive deliberations and focused recommendations, we have been able to finalize the outcome. Documents for the third regional seminar for the Asia-Pacific region parliaments on achieving the SDGs, the documents entitled Your Valuable Inputs, Recommendations, and while the same has been shared with you, I take the opportunity to briefly read the outcome document in order to unanimously adopt it. The documents state, we, members of parliaments from the Asia-Pacific region, have gathered in person and remotely for the third regional seminar on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, taking place in Islamabad, Pakistan on 13 and 14 September, jointly organized by the Inter-Parliamentary Union, IPU, in the National Assembly of Pakistan. This seminar is the third of its kind and was built on the conclusion of the previous seminars. Hosted by the Parliament of Vietnam in 2017 and the Parliament of Mongolia in 2018, as well the IPU's virtual SDGs events. We greatly appreciate the strong commitment shown by the National Assembly of Pakistan in hosting this event despite unprecedented challenges that the country is currently experiencing. The devastating floods that are hitting the country have left more than 1,100 dead and 1,600 injured. They have destroyed crops, infrastructure, and buildings, and left millions homeless. We would like to express our deepest solidarity and sympathy to the Parliament and people of Pakistan, with the hope that the country will be able to recover soon. We also hope that the country will be able to recover soon. We also hope that thanks to the sharing of knowledge and experience at this important event, together we will be able to identify effective solutions to fight climate change and implement the SDGs. Big carbon polluters should take more responsibility for climate change, meet their obligations, and do their utmost to reduce carbon emissions as many poor countries are disproportionately shouldering the burden of climate-related impacts. In this regard, we propose to include the flood crisis Pakistan is currently experiences as a potential emergency item in upcoming 145th IPU Assembly taking place in October 2022 in Rwanda. Titled Parliaments and the Pandemic SDGs in the Time of COVID-19, the seminar provided a space for the interparliamentary dialogues on how to support the achievements of the Sustainable Development Goals in the region despite the COVID-19 pandemic and other crises. Including climate change, there is an urgent need to accelerate progress and address existing problems by adopting coherent strategies. Parliaments can drive significant change towards sustainable development. They can translate the SDGs into enforceable laws. They can monitor implementation of these two laws. They can ensure that government is accountable to the people for the national progress on the SDGs. They can make sure that the needs of all society, especially underrepresented, marginalized, and/or vulnerable groups are duly taken into consideration and addressed. Distinguished parliamentarians, the task at hand for us as people representative is to ensure that the will of the people is carried out in the system of governance for the entire Asia-Pacific region. The region has made progress in socioeconomic development, but the rate of development has remained uneven. We are confronted with a number of challenges of rapid urbanization, rising inequality, climate change, significant demographic shifts, and growth rate. Gender inequalities in employment, education, access to healthcare, assets, and technology, among other things, are widespread. Women's participation in decision-making and leadership positions has increased over the last 2 decades, but it remains lower than the global average of 25%. In some sub-region, it's even lower. The challenges of achieving SDGs by 2030 has been magnified during the recent years due to the challenges of responding to the COVID-19 pandemic and increase in intensity and frequency of natural disasters. COVID-19 pandemic has reversed previous decades' resulting in shifts in priorities and emphasis on development initiatives, with greater emphasis placed on dealing with the pandemic. I would once again like to draw your attention towards the devastating floods that have affected 1/3 of the country and have impacted over 33 million people. The flood's preliminary economic damage estimate exceed $10 billion. Food insecurity and malnutrition were already at critical levels in areas severely impacted by the floods. Pakistan has only contributed 0.4% of the global carbon emissions since 1954, but it is paying a heavy price of climate change. I would like to request the Speaker of National Assembly to move an emergency item at the forthcoming IPU General Assembly in Rwanda to highlight the plight of affected people of Pakistan and consequences of climate degradation. Let's work together to address the threats brought on by extreme poverty, conflict, food insecurity, unemployment, and climate change in the region. I wish you a safe journey to your country. In the end, I would like to thank the National Assembly Secretariat officers, particularly our worthy Secretary, Mr. Tahir Hussain, Additional Secretary, Special Initiatives, Syed Shamoon Hashmi, Head of all the departments, including International Relations Department, Protocol Branch, our Media and Social Media Department, our Chief Cameraman, Mr. Zafar, and his team, Project Management Unit and Special Initiative Wing, our Research and our Library Department, PIPS Legislation Reporters, IT, our SIS Interpretations, Telecasting, Digital Innovation Hub, admin, janitorial staff, and all the departments and the support staff for smooth execution for this seminar. And in the end, my very own SDGs Secretariat, my young team of their untiring efforts in managing this seminar. Thank you everyone for joining us in Islamabad. I hope you had a good time, and the Parliament of Pakistan appreciate your participation. And also in the very end, I just wanted to bring in another announcement, and that all the pictures, all the material you can easily get from the website of the National Assembly or from the SDG Secretariat website. And I would also like to to inform you that this event has been top trending on social media, Twitter, from last 2 days, which shows how your presence in Pakistan is not only appreciated, but the parliamentary efforts highlighted climate change and has been discussed. Thank you very much. We love you all. Hope to see you again, and may you have a safe and sound journey. With this regard, thank you so much. Pakistan Zindabad, Pakistan Paindabad.
Thank you very much, Madam, for your address. May I now request the Honourable Speaker of the National Assembly, Raja Parvez Ashraf, for his concluding remarks and his announcement of closing the seminar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Senator Syed Yusuf Raza Gilani Sahab, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Rumina Khurshid Alam, Special Assistant to the Prime Minister and Convener of SDGs Secretariat in the National Assembly, Shaza Fatima Khwaja, Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Youth, Honorable Senator Salim Mandviwala, distinguished parliamentary delegates from the Asia-Pacific region, Excellencies, Honorable Ministers and Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and warmest greetings. It is a matter of great honor for myself and the National Assembly of Pakistan that the third IPU Regional Seminar for the Asia-Pacific Region Parliaments on achieving SDGs has been a resounding success with regards to wholehearted participation by all countries, delegates, and excellencies. At the very onset, I wish to comment and thank all of you for supporting wholeheartedly Pakistan's National Assembly's endeavors to move an emergency resolution item at the forthcoming IPU General Assembly in Rwanda to highlight the plight of the flood-affected people of Pakistan and the consequences of climate degradation on vulnerable economies of developing countries. I am also happy to note that the IPU President has assured to support this resolution. While I also thank the Asia-Pacific Group for endorsing this move, I earnestly hope that we will all join hands to jointly make it our common cause and ensure its success in Kigali. I extend my heartiest gratitude to the President of the International Parliamentary Union, Mr. Dorothy Pachu, and the entire IPU staff for their continuous and close cooperation with the National Assembly of Pakistan. I wholeheartedly thank all the distinguished delegates and each member of the Parliament from all the participating Asia-Pacific region parliaments who traveled all the way to Islamabad from their home countries for making this seminar so interactive and meaningful. It indeed reflects their strong and uncompromising resolve to implement the SDGs global agenda as their own national plan towards making our respective societies as well as this planet at large more livable, prosperous, and safer place for future generations. I have been closely following the keynote addresses and the deliberations of the two-day seminar. I am really happy to see the high level of engagement, interest, and interactive participation of all worthy delegates with regard to key challenges of global climate change, poverty, hunger, and malnutrition, quality education, equitable health, and last but not the least, empowered women who can consolidate our national development plans with their dynamic contribution. You have rightly identified during your deliberations as well as the outcome document that global climate change has become a menace to our planet and our common future and coming generations. More frequent and intense drought, storms, heat waves, rising sea levels, melting glaciers, and warming oceans caused due to rising world temperature. As consequence of carbon emissions from industry and vehicles can directly harm animals, destroy the places they live, and wreak havoc on people's livelihood and communities. I hope you will incorporate proactive policy making and implementation of recommendation vis-a-vis global climate change as the top priority in your prospective national plans. I was heartened by the unwavering solidarity that all participating countries have expressed to myself and my colleagues in support of the resilient people of Pakistan standing tall in an exemplary and united effort to face the devastation caused by the recent floods. Ladies and gentlemen, parliamentarians have the constitutional role and responsibility to play an important role in supporting and overseeing the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. I will urge upon all the Asia-Pacific region's parliaments attending this seminar to proactively move with two initiatives on returning to their countries. In the end, I again congratulate the organizers for their excellent work and greatly thank the distinguished delegates for their noteworthy participation. I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan Zindabad. With this, I declare the third regional seminar on SDGs closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, we come to the conclusion. The tea waits for you. Thank you very much for joining us.